On May 5th, we're going to join millions of people to focus on our digital wellness. There's another Swell that you can see in my Swellcast about this. And that day is not a day when people are unplugging. That's another kind of day. Digital Wellness Day is when we actually lean into our digital communities and we talk to each other about how we can reclaim our time and not doom scroll forever and ever, and how when we do choose to go online, we're doing it for a healthy reason. I wanted to ask everybody on Swell, what is your digital wellness protocol? Do you have one? Do you think about timing yourself? Do you think about when to stand up and to breathe? Do you think about the kinds of things your eyeballs are looking at all day, what your ears are hearing all day, the positions you're physically in when you're engaging with your digital devices? There are so much more aspects to this that I think we're going to cover, but I wanted to start this conversation with you to tell me your digital kind of hygiene. I guess that's another phrase we can use. And of course, I'm really happy that Clo S is with us. She is an author and a coach, and she does keynotes, and she wrote a workbook called 30 Experiments for Your Digital Wellness, ways for you to look at yourself, really specific prompts that helps you reflect on, am I okay right now, or have I just lost it? A lot of us just feel fried by the end of the day, and we're wondering why. Maybe our eyes are just bleeding because we've looked at the screen so much. There's ways to mitigate that. Thanks so much for all of you to join in here. We all are on this device right now. I'm so grateful for that. We have a beautiful community. But I do want to talk about how we make sure we are taking care of ourselves. So it starts with you. Thanks so much. Looking forward to hearing your voices. Two quick things. First of all, I said Chloe and I meant Clo. Welcome, Clo. And secondly, I'm giving you the link to the original Swell that I posted about the May 5th Digital Wellness Day, so you can take a look at that.
Okay, here's a couple of tips for managing your digital wellness. When you start to see a lot of crap on your timeline, start unfriending people. This is like a little quick tip. TikTok used to promote videos to you that the people that you followed like, people who are your friends like. And when I kept seeing a lot of poisonous stuff, I realized by looking through the comments on TikTok that those people, that I was getting it because of the same person. So I had to let them go. Purge your timeline. And I know that's hard to say, especially when it comes to family and your connection with them. It is perfectly okay to hit that mute on Facebook. It is also okay to unfollow people on Instagram if you already have them on Facebook. Just act like you don't exist. I have personally blocked a family member on TikTok. Somebody I grew up with, somebody I love, but nah, I don't need that. I don't need that negativity. Other things about digital wellness is like learning how to put the phone down. Being aware of the fact, and here's the thing, being fully aware of the fact that social media of all types is designed to get you addicted. That's why Facebook now does video. And they do video so well that you can be on Facebook scrolling through videos, and for a second there, you might think you're on TikTok because it's a lot of copied content. YouTube as well. My sister's on YouTube all the time, and she's always sending me goofy stuff. Stuff from, the lady that goes, everybody's so creative, that whole thing. So that's some ways that you can protect your digital wellness. Also, find things in a digital space that are healthy for you. If you find that you have a serious addiction, like healthy things like doing exercise videos, using digital spaces for education rather than entertainment. So those are the tips on digital wellness.
A couple of ways that I practice digital wellness, and I think my busy lifestyle kind of lends itself to this, is I generally, like right now it's 7:15 p.m. and I'm in the kitchen cooking, and this is when I'm on Swell. For Swell, I also do some drafts at night and then just post it during the day so I can be consistent. But I'm kind of limited in my free time, and so that helps. The weekends I am free, but on the weekends I pretty much make the decision to not go on like the social medias, and that could be Swell, Facebook, or Instagram. So I have a limited time during the week. I don't log on for the most part for at night. So that gives me, on the weekends. So that gives me some time to just not be there. If I find myself scrolling and it becomes endless, or I'm seeing things that I don't like, I'm going down the rabbit hole of something that was posted, usually I get caught up in it, and then I snap out of it and say, okay, I'm not going to go on Facebook tomorrow, or I'm not going to go back to that. Doing some unfollowing definitely helps. Every now and again, I will check. I'm like, why am I following these people? And so I've done a lot of unfollowing and things like that. Facebook asks now, would you like to see more or less of this in your feed? I love it, because then I don't have to unfriend you and unblock you necessarily, but I can just see less of your posts. And so, I've got some people that are really funny, but they also post things that are not so funny. And that is helpful to see less of them. So that kind of thing, and taking control of how much I see from certain people, helps.
I love this, and the easiest thing I've done so far, very recently actually, for my digital wellness is turn off the notifications. I didn't necessarily remove social media apps from my phone. I'm thinking of possibly doing this to my email as well, because the email completely overwhelms me sometimes and anxiety shoots through the roof. But I turn off the notifications to the major social medias, Instagram, TikTok, and by doing that, I have not been so prone to, oh, what am I missing? Or, oh, who's liked this post, who's viewed this post, especially when it comes to my business. And it's been freeing and relieving. And so that's been the biggest thing for me, besides trying to do screen time and cut my screen time short so I'm not doing the doom scroll on everything. But so far, the biggest thing is turning off the notifications.
Hey Deborah, great topic and one that I've contemplated on many times. And I have just one point to share here, and that's this. A lot of the times, a lot of the digital activities or tasks that we think are important are actually not important. And a lot of the times, some of the digital engagements that we do, it can be people or platforms that we engage in, are not really that important. Creating content, the need to put something out there, the need to be active is really not as important as the need to take care of yourself. And it's okay to take a step back.
Hi, Deborah, Clo here. Thank you so much for this intro. I cannot wait to listen to what everyone has replied already. I see that there are already replies below your introduction. Thank you so much for having me here. I'm so happy to be here and talk about digital well-being and the science behind it and how to create healthy digital habits. So let's get into it. Hey, first I gotta say I absolutely love all those recommendations. I agree with all of them, and especially what you say at the end is super important. Because I often hear discourse that's along the lines of you should just throw your phone into the garbage, basically, and never go on the internet ever again and avoid all social media and all of this. But I think it's really important, as you said, to find the positive aspects of the internet and social media and what it brings to us. That's one of the experiments in my book, Tech Bliss, and I always take the time to highlight that because there is so much to be grateful for in social media and internet as it is today. It connects us with people so far away. We stay in touch. Like, personally, I have family over 4 continents, and I couldn't stay in touch as well with them as if we were like one generation behind or something like that, and we didn't have the technology that we have today. Or even just to learn stuff, there are so many universities putting their courses online available to anyone, so many people teaching all sorts of arts and crafts and music production, and anything you want, you can find it online. So for all of these reasons, I think it's really important to take the time to think about what we're grateful for in social media and in the internet as it is today. And yeah, I always encourage people to do that. I want to add to what everyone has been saying so far, especially to the fact that it's not that important to do everything we might have in mind to do, and about the notifications part, that the reason we often get sidetracked and distracted online is that we are hardwired to enjoy learning about new things. We have a bias towards novelty. That's how we have evolved as human beings, because it kept us alive, to learn new information, to know what berries we can eat or not, which area is safe or not, which animal is a predator or not. So for that need to stay alive and to always learn new information, we get dopamine now each time that we are searching for more information, for new information. And the thing is, on our smartphone and online in general, there's always, like, every second there is new information being created and being put out there by someone. So that's why it can be like a pit that we fall down into, and there's always going to be new things to learn there. So we get sidetracked there so easily. Yeah, I often see, like, people turning off notifications, or at least turning off the notification badges that they have on their smartphone to avoid being distracted. But even more interesting, there's a study that has found that simply having your smartphone in sight while you're doing something else, even if there's no notification waiting for you there or anything, it hasn't vibrated or rang or anything, but just having it in sight, it's enough to distract you, at least partially. It means that some of your attention is going to go towards the phone, and it's not going to be 100% towards what you're trying to do on the moment, which isn't on your phone. So often when I tell that to coaching clients, they decide to leave their phone elsewhere while they do something they really want to focus on, often at work, but it can be something else, and they're going to, like, leave their phone in a drawer or in another room or something like that. And I think it's a really, really important and a really interesting study to fully comprehend the impact of our phone and the simple presence of our phone on us.
Wow. Good morning, DBP pod. Okay, you know I'm getting this all wrong, right? So I apologize. Thank you so much, DB Padres, for this awesome question. And I'm so excited to answer this, not just from a perspective of giving an answer, but from a perspective of truly understanding the healing possibility in having social media as an outlet. Okay, so this is Augustine, and of course, sure, you see my page is hashtag God is thrifty, but you don't see the end part of that, which is ... nothing wasted in the kingdom. So how did I come about that name? I came about that name, obviously, the hashtag comes from social media. The God is thrifty comes from God inspired me through my thrift. When I started my thrift boutique, I needed it for provision. I needed it as an outlet in such hard times that I was going through. And thrift is therapeutic for so many people. It was what I did with my mother when I was a child at 5 years old. I thrifted with my mother, never knowing that one day God would use it to help save my life in a domestic violence marriage that I had to leave. And if I had not had thrift or did not know how to humble myself to survive or get through hard times and still be able to clothe myself in dignity with what I had in my hand, I don't know what me and my children would have done. So why do I give you that backstory? Because God inspired the God is thrifty. And of course, social media inspired the hashtag. And then
God began to give me a bigger vision for my thrift boutique. He gave me it as a ministry, and the hashtag went along with it. So, of course, we know hashtags only work on social media. So I knew at that time God wanted me to start a Instagram page. And I knew he wanted me to do something unique. Now, I wasn't very confident in my words. I know that I have always been a great communicator, but I never knew that anyone really wanted to hear my voice. And if I can just really quickly kind of go off the subject and just say thanks, Swell. I just really appreciate the Swell community for you guys doing this platform, because it gives voice to so many people that need voice more than they need the interaction on social media. They need voice, and they need it in a way that it's somewhat, how would you say it? I'm not going to say like it's private, but it gives so much when you can have someone hear you and respond based on what they heard and not what they assumed. Can I say that? Okay, hopefully you understand, and I'm sure you will. You're such a wonderful voice on this platform. So with that being said, social media, let me get to your question. So what are your digital wellness habits? There we have it. My digital wellness habit became the reason I got on social media, to be heard, to explore my unique ministry that God had given me, to use that hashtag God is thrifty, and to continue to explore it at times where I had nothing but my inspiration, my hope, and what God was doing with it. And even when no one wanted to hear my voice, I knew there was a platform that I could at least release my voice into the world. And hopefully if it encouraged one person, then I did my part as the good in the earth. So yeah, my social media wellness is just speaking, and keep speaking, and not using it for the bad, but using it to inspire even the one. It's not about the numbers. It's about the one God that will use anything. Hashtag God is thrifty. Nothing wasted in the community when we are being community and our voices are heard. So again, thank you, Swell community. Awesome question, and thank you for the opportunity.
It's so great to hear everybody respond to this in such personal ways. And Clo, thank you for being here and really looking at the science behind this. You know, you mentioned this idea of the phone anywhere in your site still creates that umbilical cord connection, which is so intense. I wanted to talk with you a little bit about something I'm concerned about, which is that I use my phone between 9 to 12 hours a day. And it's something that I enjoy. It's my work, and it's just my reality. What I see a lot of really, so I guess inflammatory statements from very, very conspiratorial-minded people. I think that say that we're dying because of our phones. All this electromagnetic stuff is going through our fingers and our eyeballs, and you see these big generated images of people's heads exploding with lots of red heat in the thermographic images. Will you just calm us all down and take us through that, or tell us that some of that is true? I don't ever use the phone next to my head. I just use it in front of me. I use the speaker, but it's always in my hand. And what has science told us in the past 30 years? What is going on with the phone in the hand, eyeballs on the screen? What can we do to mitigate that horror that is probably being studied in terms of like, yeah, there is problems with this little device? Or are we totally safe? Or are there different ways to look at holding or viewing your phone? The hygiene of this is really interesting to me. This might take a few replies from you, but I really appreciate your me indulging us with this. I'm sure a lot of people are curious. So thank you, and so happy to hear you here on Swell.
Hi, Deb. It's so nice to hear your voice. And I love this topic, digital wellness. I'm always asking my clients, how long did you sit? When did you take breaks? How are your shoulders feeling? Are you clenching your teeth when you stare at your screen? Where is the tongue placement? You should be placing the tongue right behind your top 2 front teeth, just gently resting on the roof of your mouth for really ideal jaw relaxation. So I love this conversation, and I think I spend too much time on Instagram, so I try to check myself, and I'm not really sure. I'm not that regimented about time frame. That is actually a great suggestion. How many hours I'm spending on my phone, how many hours I'm spending away from my phone. I thankfully have a job where I don't have to work on a computer, and I get to interact with people and help people feel better because they are at their screen for too many hours. And I often say that computer work is my job security, because if you stare at a screen for work, then you need massage regularly, and I see that on my massage table all the time. So love this topic and love to deep dive into this with all of you. Thanks so much. Look to hearing more from you guys. Oh, and I just posted a little stretch reminder on my Swellcast. Just wanted to find out what you guys doing or for stretching. If you do any sort of desk break, desk stretching, would love to hear about it, because I'm always sending my clients homework and little 10-minute, 5-minute videos they can do just to get their body moving during the day and break up things, get the blood flowing, get the lymph flowing, so we can all help our brains function better, because blood flow, lymph flow is all going to make the brain work better. So talk to you guys more and more. Looking forward to it.
Hey, Christy, what a great suggestion to really drop into the protocol that we can use physically all the time. I'm going to go over to your Swellcast now and hear what you have to say. I think this conversation has to happen constantly. And I know Clo is so committed to this at a global perspective too. Different cultures have different expectations of their workers, of their friends. There's so much to unpack here, but it's really about accountability to each other, to say, hey, I know you have a ringer set to stand up every 10 minutes, but, are you replying to that ringer and stuff like that? I've got to do that more. I'm going to start getting some more apps in place here to actually do the timing thing for me, because I know there's stuff that's out there. We've got a conversation going on with a great guy right now, Tim Smits, who has a product called Unplug, and it helps you really mitigate your time on apps. It's over in my Swellcast. You could look at that. But I'll come over to yours and check out what you're doing. Thanks so much for contributing here, and let's keep this going.
Hey, Deborah. Hi. That is such a good question. What happens to our eyes when we look at screens for hours, and what happens with this radiation? So first, I'm going to start with the eyes. You're absolutely correct. It's not good to look up close for extended periods of time. That could be our phone or a laptop, but even just reading a book for 6 hours or 8 hours a day, it's also not good for our eyes, right? So it's not because it's the screen, it's because it's up close. And we're not used to that, and our eyes are not made for that. And the problem is it's not good for the muscles that control our eyes. That's why you have had like a rise of cases of myopia over the last decades, because people have been staring at screens for 8 or more hours a day. And people, I include children in that. You also have like rising cases of myopia among children. So what to do about that? You might have heard of the 20-20-20 rule, which was actually created by an American ophthalmologist, and it's not like a scientific rule in a way, like there hasn't been a study specifically to create this rule, but he just thought that it would be something catchy for his patients to remember. And it's about every 20 minutes, if you're working on a screen, every 20 minutes you should look at something that is 20 feet away, or that's 6 meters, for 20 seconds. So if you're working on a screen, every 20 minutes, you look at something 20 feet away for 20 seconds, or 6 meters away if you use meters. That's just a way to have the habit to look at something in the distance, right? So that's for our eyes. And then about the radiation. So it is true that we get radiation from our cell phones because of 2G, 3G, 4G, and 5G, for those who are going to have that. But like it's this, the radiation, there's a whole spectrum of radiation. And you have those waves that are coming at different frequencies. It's like sound. You have sounds that is very high pitched, very low pitched. Same for anything that you can see. And in this case, the radiation that we get from our cell phones is too low to be harmful. It's on the lower end of the spectrum that we call radio frequency. And it's not like, as far as we know so far and as science has shown so far, it's not harmful. What can be harmful is ionizing radiation, which can be X-rays, for instance, but that's why we don't spend like 8 hours per day, every day in front of X-rays, right? So I hope that answers your question. To wrap it up, to summarize it, the radiation from cell phones is not harmful. It's too low on the electromagnetic spectrum to be harmful. And when it comes to looking at screens or anything that is up close for hours on end, it's indeed bad for the muscles in our eyes. And so we should get the habit to regularly look away. Something else that you can do for your eyesight besides the 20-20-20 rule is to have your laptop further away from your eyes. So if you can, for instance, get a separate keyboard so that you can type while having your screen further away, or if you can, some people use a beamer to protect what's on their laptop on a wall or a screen, and in this way it's not looking up close, but maybe you're looking a few meters into the distance. That's already an improvement if you can do that. By the way, I have a question for all of you, because where I am we use public transportation a lot. I don't know if that's the case where all of you are, but if you do use public transportation, my question is, are you on your phone while you're like on the bus or subway or tram? Or are you doing something else? Are you looking around you? Are you listening to music? Are you reading a book? I'm really curious because I see really more and more, like a higher and higher percentage of people looking only at their phone and not around them. And it feels a bit weird, to be honest.
Hey, Clo, what a great question to ask, because it's asking us to be a little thoughtful and reflective. It's rampant. People look down now and they're looking on their phones. And I was just in New York, where I used to live, where when I lived there, I didn't have cell phones. I didn't have a cell phone, nor did anybody else. And we used to look at each other and they would be talking. We'd be working on the crossword puzzle. We'd be chatting. And now it's silent and people are in their worlds. And it's just demoralizing to me. Even standing online waiting for coffee, you can't chat up somebody because they look so important on their phone. The other day I was watching a woman on her phone while her 3-year-old was in front of her, just having a great little time, talking to her mother, asking her mother to watch her. And the mother was completely consumed with her phone. And the little girl could have walked into traffic at this point. I mean it, because it was in an urban area. And I was thinking, what happened? Why are we doing this? I don't know. I think part of the digital wellness conversation that we're going to have internationally on Friday is, can we give a big hug to people and say, listen, we know how good you are in your apps. We know that you're getting lots of emails and that you're being liked everywhere, but you don't need to be in that space when you're in the public world. That's the break you get. That's the idea of being human, and being in the real world is to experience the serendipity of somebody waving at you or saying hello or meeting you, or just watching your child play with sticker balls and sticker balls are little balls from the East Coast trees. I just dated myself, or I just geo-mapped myself. Anyway, I think it's really crazy. I'm very conscious of not using my phone in public when I don't have to, because I want to see what I'm around. I want to have a campaign like look up. Seriously, just look up, look around, look at the world. I don't know. I don't know what to do. I'm screaming from the tip of my swell here.
Deborah, I completely relate. I think there's also something important to take into account, which is that when, even in our in-between moments, say we're commuting from work to home, and we have this, let's say, 30-minute commute, when even in our in-between moments, we are on our phones and we stay engaged and cognitively active, it ends up being draining, because those in-between moments, we use them best when we use them to help us transition from A to B in terms of context, in terms of thoughts and what occupies our mind. And it's the opportunity for us to slow down, recharge a little bit, because then after a long day at work, maybe when we get home we need to tidy up and we need to clean and we need to look after the kids and something else. So those in-between moments are really important to not be too active, to just look around, relax, sit, have a break in a way. And when instead we use them to stay mentally active and to be on our phone, or to be like hyper focused on a podcast, for instance, it doesn't give us that opportunity. So instead of taking that time to recharge, we're even more drained at the end of our workday, and we get home, we're exhausted. We don't have energy or motivation to do anything. That's also something that I felt was important to share.
Hey Adam and the rest. Thank you so much for tagging me in this amazing conversation as well. I did go a bit offline for Digital Wellbeing Day, so my reply is a bit later. It's awesome to hear that you've recently started using the unplug tag, and I love that it's helped you already to save a lot of screen time on Instagram. And I really do agree with you that awareness is the main point here. And interestingly, I think before we start using tools like Unplug or any other, the awareness already needs to be there. So that's why I'm always also trying to join in on conversations, find other people like Clo and you that are working on sharing the message of helping people to become more aware of how they spend their time in the digital world. And that's why days like the Digital Wellness Day are also so important, because they try to spread the awareness of this growing problem of unconscious usage of our digital tools. So great to see that this conversation is going strong here, and that's it for me, I think, right now. Bye bye.